Jai Hind, Sunbeam. We welcome you back to the show where we delve deep into the minds of people who shape our day-to-day lives. Today, this is the voice of Sunbeam and I'm your host Arnav, welcoming you back to the show. Today, we have Ms. Seema Jhingan ma'am with us, the senior partner and co-founder of Lex Counsel. A brief intro about ma'am. Ma'am is a senior partner and co-founder of Lex Counsel, law offices with over 27 years of experience in law. Ma'am has expertise in diverse fields such as mergers and acquisitions, telecom, satellite communications, education laws, defense, aviation, venture capital, private equity, and many more. Ma'am's notable recognitions include being called the shining star of Indian legal fraternity by the Corporate Counsel Association of India in 2019 and Partner of the Year overall at the BW Legal World Global Legal Summit and Awards in 2019. Ma'am is also acknowledged as a leading lawyer in IT, media, and telecommunications by Asia Law and Practice. Jai Hind, ma'am, I would like to seek your permission to start the podcast.
Absolutely, I'm so glad and privileged to be here.
Moving on to the first segment, talking about our guest. Ma'am, the first question to you is, with an incredible career spanning over 27 years, can you tell us about your journey into law and what inspired you to become a legal professional?
Okay, so I complete 3 decades of practice this year. So I've completed 30 years. And when we, 30 years back, when I started law in 1991, law was not a glamorous profession as we have now. It was either civil litigation or criminal litigation, and against the advice of my family members, I joined law. And I wanted to be a lawyer from age 10. So I think that propelled my determination to continue be a lawyer. And I was fortunate to get into a law firm scenario in 1994 with Singhania and Com Partners. And that is when the industrial policy of the government of India came in. And we saw a lot of foreign investments coming into India. The Viksit Bharat that you see today is the seed was germinated then, where I, as a young intern and a young associate, started working with companies like IBM's and Microsoft. I be very honest that as a young associate, I did not know what I was doing, but I was trying to sort of grapple through it. And that sort of laid the foundation for my corporate law practice. I involved myself in a lot of transactional advisory, a lot of advice on structuring the foreign investments into India, how to set up the companies, what kind of responsibilities that the director should take, the kind of structures, regulatory approvals, the licenses. And as I grew my practice, I suddenly realized that as a lawyer, as a corporate lawyer, you're also contributing step by step into the development of the company, of the country. And how did we do that? We were structuring and enabling investments into India, setting up the Indian companies to grow, to structure their compliances in a way that helped them to be compliant with law, to do business in a much more way where they harnessed more investments, and do a lot of M&A activities, merger and acquisition activities. So I think I've had a great journey since then, have advised hundreds of investors, hundreds of a lot of satellite companies, a lot of work in the education field, a lot of work in IT and media field. It's been a pretty fulfilling journey.
Ma'am, you did define a legal journey, but a true question that I had, all these fields you have expertise in, were they just one dot after the other that you connected? Or were they random, like being in merger acquisitions and also being in defense, then aviation, these are all scattered. So you having expertise in all those areas, was it a coincidence?
No, see, what happens is if you're a corporate lawyer and you don't initially pick up your areas. I was in a very, very large law firm, which enabled me to dwell into different areas of practice. But over the period when I started Lex Counsel in 2004, that's a time when I started specializing specifically in space law. Space law wasn't very big at that point of time as is now. I started going into space law and defense practice advisory. Did a lot of work with education companies. I did advice on K-12, preschools, universities. and it was not a conscious choice. It's sort of the life journey that takes you from one project to the other.
Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, the second question is, as a trailblazer in the legal profession, especially as a woman in corporate law, what changes have you seen in the industry regarding women's representation? And what advice would you give to the young woman entering the legal field?
Oh, absolutely. This is my favorite topic. See, as a woman, life is not easy. There is no balance in life if you're a lawyer. And as a woman, you also have a lot of responsibilities to raise the family, to be the primary caregiver to your children. So the first thing I promised myself is that I would never let my gender, and this is for all the young students of your school, never let your gender as a woman or as a lady or as a girl come into the play in the profession you choose. Now, once you've decided you want to be a pilot or a corporate lawyer or a litigator or a school teacher or whatever profession you choose, do not let your gender come into the way, and believe that you can make it. And trust you me, I have not had a single incident where my clients respected me less because I was a woman. I haven't had the situation where my client said, can we have a male partner? It is the confidence that you exude as an individual. When you trust yourself, the world trusts you. And I'm coming with 30 years of experience. At that point of time, there were very few corporate lawyers. In fact, there were very few. Clients were very used to having male partners and male seniors as the people who led the discussions. 1994 when I passed out, and I started leading discussions with companies like Nortel and IBM's at the point of time where it was sort of unacceptable to be the person taking the charge. You could be sitting on the table and doing the side work. And that's how I started. I also started learning that way. But in next 2.5, 3 years, I had got enough confidence because of the generosity of my seniors. They enabled me at that point of time. They enabled me, gave me the sort of the wherewithal to go out and lead the show. And I was ready to accept a challenge. And yeah, it's been a very fulfilling journey.
Really well said, ma'am. That's truly an inspiration. Every person faces obstacles in some or the other phase in their lives. Can you, ma'am, share a personal or professional challenge that shaped you as a person and how you overcame it?
Well, see, the life is a journey. There are some defining moments, and otherwise, it's a challenge which keeps coming day in and out. But what I have learned over the years is, as a professional, you do not have to take the path that is easy. Take the path that is right. And do the right thing at that very moment, which is calling that. Situation is fluid. For example, when I was at the peak of my career, I had my first son. And now that was a very big personal challenge that I, as a mother, had certain ethos that I don't want to leave my child home without good care. And I took a back step when I was flourishing full-time as a partner in a law firm. And it's very hard to be a woman and be a partner in 1997 to lead a practice area, which I was doing at that point of time. I took a personal call that is what is right at that moment. And for 3-4 years, I worked half-time and sort of led the family responsibilities and the personal responsibility along with my law. It's never easy, I would say. It's a journey that shapes you, but believe me, it sort of brings you stronger on the other end, and you are able to juggle it with the support of all the people who were around me, and family support at that point of really matters, and the people I worked with have helped.
Great advice that ma'am gave to not choose the path that's easy, but rather which is right.
Yes.
The last question of the segment. Apart from your professional accomplishments, ma'am, what do you consider your biggest personal achievement?
I think I was very clear from the very beginning that I will not compromise my children. I have 2 boys. I will not compromise their education in the time that they need from their mom. Because I was a working mom and I had a lot of responsibilities, as my firm was my 3rd child. Sometimes it became my first child because it was a young firm at that point of time. So the catch was to somehow lead the show in a manner where I do not compromise on the time that I was not at home. There is a concept called, giving quality. Quantity is not important and quality is, and I sort of practice that. I was available 24/7 even if I'm in a client meeting, to my children, so that they do not feel that they are out there, not with the mom. And it made I had to do a lot of sacrifices. When I say sacrifice, not just sacrifices, it was fulfilling as a mother. I would not have any friend circle. I had no social life. My days were with my firm, and all my evenings, all my weekends were my children. So I think that's how I sort of balanced it out.
Inspirational, I'm inspirational. The second segment is where we talk about our theme. The theme of boarding schools. So the first question comes as boarding schools, which are often seen as transformative for students. From your perspective, ma'am, how helpful do you think these experiences are in shaping the child's character and their life's trajectory?
I think they play a very big role in making you independent, self-sufficient, and less protective. As a parent, we tend to overprotect our children in our homes. The children are spoiled. They do not know basic things because everything is well taken care of. And when I compare the children from boarding school, they are so well sorted out. Your children are so well self-sufficient. You are able to take decisions. You're not always looking to your parents, what should I do in this situation? I think the values, the self-sufficiency, the self-dependence that a boarding school instills in you as a second family, I think that's a phenomenal work.
So it's the confidence and the independence that a boarding school instills. Ma'am, the second question is, how do you think the holistic approach of developing a child is important in the future success in their careers?
I think holistic approach is not only academic excellence, and that's where the boarding schools do a great job. The holistic approach is somewhere where the child has a development in the creative aspect. They have sports focus, and they have academic focus. And I think our schools do all right with academic and some little of bit of sports. But what they don't instill is the self-confidence sometimes when you're a day scholar. The holistic approach in my mind is where the child is given exposures everywhere, and that's where the boarding school's independence comes in.
Yes, ma'am. What life values do you believe students learn during this phase throughout their lives?
As I said, self-dependence, and sometimes see you go through a very harsh phase initially, being separated from your parents, and then you quickly dust yourself and get ready for the next day at the school and in the boarding. I think that brings resilience.
And the phone not being given.
Yes, and the phone not being given, not being pampered at the house. I think that self-resilience is incomparable.
Now to the third segment of Rapid Fire, ma'am. Try and answer as quickly as possible. Shall we commence?
Yes.
The first question, ma'am, simple. Tea or coffee?
Coffee.
Favorite food or cuisine?
Anything vegetarian.
One skill or hobby that you love to pick if you had more time?
I would love to read more.
Ma'am, your favorite book, if any?
That's Eckhart Tolle. I would recommend every child, every human being to read it. It's The Power of Now.
Ma'am, are you a morning person or a night owl?
Morning person, I would say.
And one word to describe your career journey so far?
Fulfilling.
Thank you, ma'am. Before we end the podcast, one last question on the note of which we'll end the podcast. What is your personal motto or philosophy that guides your approach to both work and life?
I think creating trust. It's a very heavy word. If you see, the name of my firm is Lex Counsel. Counsel means when you counsel somebody, and counseling can only happen when you instill trust. So when I'm able to bring trust and integrity to my work, everything follows.
It's trust and integrity. Thank you so much, ma'am, for sharing your experience. It was very inspiring to have you today with us. Thank you and Jai Hind.
Thank you for having me.